Yeah, okay, time to live free. Plenty goals I'm achieving. Some real life topics and talking financial freedom. Mindset, soul and love, everything in between. This is Freedom Podcast. Tune in, live free. Hey, got my mindset right and I got the drive. Planning one day, no more job, no more 9 to 5. Love, money, mine. Love, money, mine. This is freedom. Tune in, cause it's going down. Woo!
Hi, this is Anna and welcome to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. In this episode, I interviewed Cathy and Jade, and you may remember that Cathy Young I interviewed, I think it was last year. Cathy is a holistic health coach. I was on her Gut Revive program, and she's teamed up with Jade, and they are secretly putting this membership site together. Jade also is a holistic health coach. So super excited to be hearing what these two have been up to and can't wait for you to listen to this episode. Great stuff. So it's great to have Cathy back on the show and also to meet Jade. So welcome, ladies, to the show.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Hello.
Thank you for having me back. So nice to be back, Anna.
Trying to think how long ago it was that we did your interview, because I know you were still teaching then and now you're...
Yes.
How long have you been?
Well, we're in February now. So I finished my official date of my last teaching job was end of August. So I think it's been over 6 months now. But I know when we recorded the last one, because I remember the dress I was wearing and it was a boiling hot day. So it was July. That's the only reason I remember.
Yeah, so it's well, I was going to say it's 10 months maybe. No, 9 months, something like that. It's a long time ago anyway, and it's good to see everything that you're doing with all your holistic health.
Oh, yeah.
Is going really well. I keep seeing your detoxes popping up on my Instagram, so really good to see the success that you're driving forward.
Oh, thank you.
I know that it's not always all roses as well when you're building a business. There's lots of challenges and stresses and different things on that journey, and I think it's one of the hardest things. I also talk about it on this podcast because when you take your foot off the edge of that cliff, it's quite a scary thing to do, and so it's great to see that 6 months later, things are rocking for you. And of course, you've got Jade here, so welcome, Jade.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And I know you two are doing some great stuff together, so I want to hear about how this all came about. So Jade, you tell us maybe a little bit about you and what you guys are doing together.
Yeah, so Cathy and I actually worked together a few years ago now, and we just stayed in touch ever since. But we both are doing a similar line of work. So we both do naturopathy, helping our clients heal from chronic health issues, with a lot of focus on gut health and gut healing. And yeah, as I say, we've been staying in touch and talking, and we're very like-minded when it comes to parenthood. And now I've got a 19-month-old. There's been a couple of times when she has been unwell, just minor illnesses and like teething and things that crop up, when you have a young baby. And Cathy's been a great support. And actually, during my home birth as well was a great support because she'd already done it. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking, it's so helpful and great for me being in this industry where I have access to people like Cathy, and others. But for mums that do think the same way as us and want to go more of a holistic, natural route, who don't have access to these people, it must be really, really hard. Because even knowing what I know, when your own child is unwell, you can get in a state of fear and a bit, panicked, especially if others around you are saying, you need to do this or you need to do that. And that does not sit well with you, but you don't have that sort of like backing to have confidence in your decisions because it is all on your shoulders. And so, Cathy and I were talking and we just thought, a really great, if for us, we see it as a gap because I don't know of any other sort of community that offers what we have now decided to set up together, which is the Natural Mothers Toolkit, which is going to be a place for mums like us to get that support and say, follow your instincts, what you're doing is right, but actually having the education. So actually being able to back it up and say, I'm doing this for these reasons, and giving mums informed consent, because if you just look at, if you went on Google and search things, you may only see one angle, one perspective, and we want to bring the other side. Not that there's a right or wrong way, but if you have access to all of these tools and all this information, you can make the decision that's best for you and your family. So that's kind of where we're at now and what we're about to launch.
It's funny actually, isn't it? Because whenever I go onto Google, because we were catching up just before we clicked record, but what I didn't tell you was I worked for Pfizer for 12 years. Jess always says I could be a whistleblower. But I did a microbiology degree, and then what I wanted to do was I really wanted to find a cure for AIDS naively. And then ended up working in the labs voluntary and thought, I'm not doing this long term. And then got attracted to the company car, the big bonuses, and thought what I was going to be doing in the pharmaceutical industry was going to be helping people's health, really. But it was a very salesy marketing industry. And yeah, put it this way, I saw behind the curtains, as it were, but had some fun times. Winning Viagra Rep of the Year was like my claim to fame. Getting a signed Pele football, which has now passed away. So I was thinking, where is that recently? God knows where that is. But I learned a lot about branding and marketing. Oh, yeah. But what started to not fit right with me was I wasn't agreeing to, like when I became a mum, I wanted to do everything holistically. And I shared with you before that I wanted a home birth. It didn't work out like that. But I've always been like, me and the boys never really go to the doctors. So when I Google stuff, it basically turned me the other way. And my first products that I sold on Amazon were health supplements. Wow. So I went from pushing drugs and pharmaceuticals to literally 360 degrees the other way. And not wanting to go to the doctors for anything really, because I also saw and understood the whole NHS system and the mindset as well around. I'm not saying all doctors are bad or anything like that, but I think it should be used as an emergency. And every drug that you put in your body, you should be weighing up that risk-benefit scenario. And a lot of people don't look at the risk; they're looking at more the short-term fix, aren't they? Of that kind of solution. So when I ever Google anything, like something, the boys have had a rash or something like that, I want to just check, I'm always putting natural in front of it. Yeah. So I'll, because you're right, when you put in a, skin rash for 12-year-old or something on the part of the body, you end up doing that as a mother, don't you? Research that exact thing. It will always come up all the sort of traditional route of NHS links and all that kind of stuff, which is always going to be like things like antibiotics and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Whereas when you put natural in, you do get quite a few blogs that come up with some good resources. So I think it's good what you guys are doing, because it's like you're going to be able to remove Google from people's lives that actually got the support, like you say, people who have had other experiences of probably different things that your children have gone through, where you can recommend stuff, and also you've got the education to back it up. Because I think when your children are really young, you do go with that intuition, don't you? But then there's this other side, especially when you speak to your parents who are more in the traditional world. Or you then speak to a health visitor, they tend to then take you back onto that track that maybe you don't really want to go on. I think what you're doing is amazing, really.
Oh, thank you so much, Anna. Thank you. We're really excited to launch it at the 13th of March is when the doors will first open. We've got a children's health webinar that we're going to do on the 12th of March, and that will be free. So that will be going through sort of the foundations of children's health and how we can support it rather than suppress it. So if anybody's interested in that, will be on the 12th of March, and we can give you that. That will be it won't be like an Instagram live. That will be a closed webinar, so we can give people the link to sign up for that.
If you could give us the links for both of those,
of course. I'm sure you can pop them in the
masterclass. The masterclass and was it a guide or book or
we've also got a free mum's detox ebook or a detox guide, so that will be really helpful as well, and that's free too. But what we are really excited about, and we don't think there's anything else like this out there, but having that support and that community. We're calling it the virtual village, because as you know, if you've had children, you cannot do it on your own, whatever that means to you, or however you bring up your children, you do need some sort of support from somewhere, so that's why we're going to provide the virtual village, as well as the education side and the masterclasses, etc. from you know, both me and Jade. But we're also getting masters and, you know, experts in their fields, because even though we know a lot, we don't know everything.
Yeah,
and it's important that we get other people involved in this as well, you know, because everybody has a wealth of experience and knowledge that they, you know, that they want to share. So yeah, we're really
absolutely.
excited.
So I'm curious to hear a bit more about Jade, because I know Cathy's story, and you know, on this podcast we always share the stories because there might be someone that relates to what you share. And I think usually when you're talking about health, you've usually gone through something that's linked, you know, like maybe a challenge or something like that in the past, and there might be people that are listening that can relate to it, and then, you know, there might be just something you say and think, God, yeah, well, that's what I can do, and it gives them a solution. And we always talk about our 3 pillars, which is love, money, and mind. So love is around self-care and self-love, which sort of fits into this. Money is more financial freedom, because it's not all about, you know, being a billionaire overnight, but financial freedom gives you more options, doesn't it? And gives you more freedom and flexibility. And then mindset, I think mindset comes into a lot of this as well, because it's about having the belief of being able to, you know, go down a certain route. Like I was sharing with you about the home birth, I was surrounded by people who weren't backing me up, even though I had that, you know, intuition, I suppose, that that's what I wanted to do. But then it just became that everything just got sort of taken away from me when I got the high blood pressure. But share a little bit about your sort of journey into doing all this great stuff with holistic health.
Yeah, so it started about 12 years ago now. It started off, I just started getting acne, which I thought was, I kind of like the teenage years, and I'd survived it all, and then suddenly I was getting some spots. And I think at first you put it down to I'm just a bit stressed, or maybe this cleanser isn't working for me. But it started getting worse and worse, and to the point it becomes cystic. And these cysts were sticking around on my face for months, and they just weren't going. And then I get a new one, and suddenly I was thinking, like, you know, I didn't want to look in the mirror. I didn't date for 3.5 years because, you know, if I don't want to look at this, then no one else is going to fancy me. And I didn't change jobs. I didn't want to go for an interview because, again, I was just so embarrassed about how I looked. I'd go to bed at night with like pseudo cream all over my face. I have to wash my pillows every night because I was worried that I was, you know, the bacteria on the pillowcases, just everything. I think when it's something that people can see, it's the whole like self-confidence and self-esteem, you know, gets impacted as well. It's a many parts of your life get affected. And anyway, I went to the doctor and he told me to try antibiotics. So I did a whole month of antibiotics, and it didn't help at all. So then he said, oh, it might be hormonal. So then he gave me the oral contraceptive pill. Again, I did a month of that, didn't work. He said, okay, we're going to try a different pill. And I kind of was like, look, I actually want to know what's causing it. Because my mum was always quite holistic, my nan very much so. So there was kind of a little bit of that in the family, not to the extent that I am now, but enough that we started to question it and was like, we want to get to the root. And so he said, okay, I'll refer you to a dermatologist. I waited months for this appointment, and I was so excited because this is the specialist on skin, right? 7 years, however much training on skin. So he was going to have the answers. And so I finally got there, and my mum said, so what causes acne? And literally he said the words, some people get it and some people don't. So that was the big conclusion. And we were a little bit gobsmacked. We was kind of like, okay, what do you think's causing hers? It could be anything. Okay, what's the solution? And the only solution he could offer, because I'd already tried antibiotics, I'd already tried an oral contraceptive pill and didn't want to try any others, was Roaccutane. And he gave us information, and it had side effects of suicide, infertility, liver damage. So I was basically going to trade one problem for another health issue.
And that's the thing.
My mum said,
people don't look at that though. You know, like you obviously were being quite proactive, whereas a lot of people do think, oh, well, I'm here with the specialist. He's recommending this, so I need to take it. And it's good that you kind of weighed up that, like I say, the risk-benefit scenario, you know.
Yeah, and I guess some people are so desperate that at that time, they're like, well, I could have those symptoms at a later date, but right now, I really need to get rid of this acne because, you know, of X, Y, and Z, however it's holding them back in their life. So I can sympathize, but ultimately symptoms are your body's messages. So there is no point suppressing that because it is going to manifest in a different way and be a problem for a later date. So, but that comes with the education and the understanding, doesn't it, really? So luckily my mum, like I say, was quite holistic mindset. She was like, you're not taking that, we're going to find other answers. And I used to have an office job in the city, and all day long I'll be Googling, I'll be trying different diets. I'd find people's blogs that said this supplement worked for me. I'll be going to Superdrug and getting all the different cleansers. I ended up finding a dermatologist who did laser treatments, and I ended up having a monthly laser treatment and a monthly microdermabrasion. So this was costing hundreds of pounds every single month. He ended up surgically removing, you can see the scars actually, surgically removing the cysts that I had because they weren't going. And he said the longer they stay, the bigger you're going to get the holes on your face. So that was excruciatingly painful as he removed these cysts. Then he was doing, the laser was so hot, he was putting this ice cold gel on my face so that I could handle this hot laser. The microdermabrasions, obviously, like rubbing off the layer of skin. I'd go home and have a bright red face for like 3 days. Then the next month, go and do it all again. Because this was keeping it at bay, because it was all about, you know, the bacteria on your skin, kill. And so I end up in this cycle of about a year, every month, spending pretty much all my money on just keeping this at bay. Luckily, my sister, she's got her own business, and she went to Barcelona to learn from this like business guru who was teaching her various stuff. And one of the guys on this course was a naturopath, and he was helping people with chronic health issues. And he got into that because he had acne, and he went on this whole journey. So he was basically me, but like 10 years ahead. And so my sister came back and said, I found the guy. And I was a bit skeptical, but I thought, I've got nothing to lose. I'm literally spending every single day waking up, dreading looking in the mirror, using all of my money just to keep it at bay. I'm not dating. My whole life is on hold until I get answers. And I was like, I'm going to give anything a go. So I had a phone call with him, and he didn't even explain it. I just said, sign me up. Like, whatever it is, however much it is, I don't care. Just put my name down. I want to start tomorrow. And so, yeah, I worked with him for about 4 months. It didn't heal it, but I could see progress, more progress than anything else had helped me with. So that was like the spark that was like, there's something more here. This is the way. This may not be exactly what I need, but I'm on the path.
And so how did that then? So then you just basically thought, right, because I suppose
it introduced me to it.
It's like anything that happens in your life, you then become sort of like embedded in it, don't you? Because you found that, like he was doing, and like you were saying, he was like 10 years ahead of you. I think we can, all of us, whatever our interest is, whatever trauma we've been through, whatever challenge we've been through, we can help other people that we might be a couple of years ahead of where they were.
Because most people have done most things, right? So you can't really reinvent the wheel that many times in things. So it's not always about that to have a business. It can just be you're just ahead of someone on their journey, and you're just looking back and giving them the helping hand. And it can be as simple as that when you're doing a business.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I first started online, I was just learning a lot about just different strategies and marketing, just wasn't really thinking about the topic. I knew that I wanted to help women at that stage. But I just wanted to help women get financial freedom, really, creating a business that they loved. And I just randomly started focusing on Facebook marketing. It was showing my age now. It was back in the day where you had a fan page and you just put one post on and everyone saw it. Now it's a lot of it is paid advertising. We've got groups now. And even though I wasn't, so this was like a year or so in, even though I was still learning a lot from like the Facebook gurus, I identified that there was like a restaurant owner, I think I helped, a personal trainer, I think there was a chiropractor, traditional type offline businesses that knew nothing that I could help. And that's the thing it is. It's like this journey of whatever subject that you sort of going into, that we're all on different, like even now with Amazon, selling on Amazon for 10 years, I'm still learning from 8-figure sellers.
Yeah.
but there's still people who are beginners who've never started, an Amazon business. So we're all on that journey, aren't we? And there's always someone we can help, as long as we have the mindset that we're always still learning. Which I know you guys, obviously, your membership that you're going to invite, other experts in there. That also breaks it up that it isn't just you two all the time. You don't want to be committing time too much, and also kind of think about your members. You want variety, don't you?
Yeah,
absolutely. For the group and stuff. But I was just curious. Thanks for sharing that, Jade, because I'm just curious that people really can relate and learn a lot from your story. And there might be someone that's just listening to this that is going through a health challenge. It might not be, it might not be a skin condition even, but they're just feeling like they're going through that loop. And I remember when I worked for Pfizer, we used to call it the revolving door patient that keeps coming back, and there isn't a solution. And, I think just traditionally we just assume that the health system is the way that we need to go. But actually there is a lot of alternative way. I think a lot more people are more open to that now as well.
We found, I think, in the last, going on sort of 3 years after, especially after the lockdowns and everything, that there are more mums, mums tend to lead the way with family health, don't they? They tend to sort of make the decisions for the children. Obviously can't speak for every family, but that's generally how it goes. But we found that there's more mums now asking for help, and like I said, asking, or what can we do? So and so's got a cough, or so and so's got a tummy bug. What is it that we can do to support rather than suppress? And one of the first masterclasses that we share in the membership, isn't it, Jade, is about what is suppression and why do we tend to do it? And it comes from fear, doesn't it? Because, as we've touched on earlier, there's always that somebody in your family, or there's always, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's another family friend, or, somebody else in your family. You've got to go to the doctor for that. That's really bad. Or you've got to go to the doctor for that. Whereas, listening to your own intuition, your own instinct, your maternal instinct might say, well, I know there might be another way, but I don't know what it is. So that's where we're going to fill the gap in the Natural Mothers Toolkit. We want to empower mums as well, because it's all well and good saying, oh, do this, me and Jade would say, oh, do this, but obviously it has to be the mum's decision. But we are not making the decisions for families. It's up to the mum to have the knowledge to put into action what she sees fit for her family. You also
build the experience, don't you? Once you've had your first child, you got also, or something happens and that works for them. Or say you've got a chest infection and you
maybe used oils or something like that,
or vitamin C or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
You think, God, that really worked. It works for yourself. It's work for them. You build that experience in the toolbox as well. And the confidence comes with it. Absolutely. But initially, they're going to need that support from you guys, which is really great what you're doing.
I had a friend, a real life friend. I was not somebody in the membership, although she will be in the membership. Her little boy, he was 6 at the time, and usually had the fever, not feeling very well. And normally she would have reached for the Calpol straight away and suppressed the fever. But through the education that she's been learning about, I think it was just before Christmas actually. She's like, oh, he's had a fever. I didn't suppress it. I was a bit scared, but I've done it now. And so she's got her confidence now, so that when he, manifests the fever again, that she's got the confidence and she knows what to do and what not to do, kind of thing, But it's like you just said, it's the confidence and the empowerment that we want to give this. We want to help mums along this journey so that they can make the decisions that are right for their families.
No, I love it. For people who are maybe listening to this, maybe they've heard Cathy previously, maybe they've not heard Cathy previously. If someone's sort of maybe feeling a bit stuck right now, obviously I know you've got your membership coming up on the 13th, and we've got the links in the show notes and in the comments section for what was the guide called now? The
Detox Mums Detox Guide.
Detox one, and also you got the masterclass on the 12th. So make sure you register for that. But if someone's feeling like maybe they're having a challenge with their partner or their mother, or
Yeah.
where their intuition is saying they want to do this, or they maybe research something and they're getting pressure. What would you both advise to that person right now, before obviously the next 4 weeks, when you're, or 3 weeks before you're,
Yeah, 3 weeks.
before they've got support? Because sometimes people are stuck in these kind of dilemmas, aren't they? What advice would you give them?
Jade, do you want to go first, or?
Yeah, I'd say it's one of those things where the education is so important, because if you're solely going on instinct, not everyone is that in tune, depending where you're starting from. So sometimes you could ignore things that shouldn't be ignored. So I'd say try and educate yourself on things that are going to be important to have to take action. If, you know, they are comfortable, maybe they're just abstaining from food, so they're not feeling 100%, and you have a few natural things in your toolkit at your disposal, great, implement them. If it's getting to a point where you feel uncomfortable, yes, you want to keep them at home, you want to avoid doctors, but you feel a bit uncomfortable and you are unsure, if you don't have that knowledge yet, then sometimes, you know, we do have to go and seek that elsewhere, which is why, you know, once the toolkit is here and you have that education, it'll be different. But it's very hard to give out a blanket thing to say, trust yourself, but without the knowledge, you know, yeah, where do you stop trusting yourself as such? So yeah, all the time you're comfortable.
I presume, Jade, you're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram, Jade Mackie Wellness. Yeah, and I mean, we have the.natural.mother on Instagram. We do share tips and stuff on there, like general knowledge, general information that you can implement. So yeah, absolutely try and find some people to follow on Instagram. People give away so much free information on Instagram. You can educate yourself so much on there. So that the hardest part is obviously finding the accounts and finding the people that are talking on these topics, because that's not always easy. But if you do, then yeah, you can learn a lot that way. So yeah, educate yourself as much as you can and just do what you feel comfortable doing. If it gets to a point of you are unsure, then yeah, sometimes you obviously do have to be careful and not. That's what I would say. Cathy might have better.
It's like your intuition. It starts with intuition, doesn't it? And the education reinforces that for you.
Yeah.
And I think once your membership's up and running, you're going to have that support as well. That's going to help just sort of back, because people are going to have all sorts of different experiences, and other people in that membership might be able to share something that's worked for them as well. You're going to get all these different kind of people that are sharing what's worked and what's not worked. And it's just going to be a really great community. But I think in the meantime, we'll put Cathy and Jade's Instagram below, so you can go and follow them both for, you know, support in the
real life experiences and anecdotes and stuff. Obviously, the mainstream medical model don't hold any weight on those things at all. It's only studies and, you know, funding of studies and things like, you know, gut health, for example. Doctors are only just starting to be aware of how integral the gut is, whereas in, you know, naturopathy, that's been known for a very, very long time. So it takes a long time for that information to filter through to doctors' offices as well. So yeah, I mean, there's many facets to it. But
my dad, who's like in his 70s, he's 78 now, I always forget. He is so up on all this stuff, and I'm just so like impressed by it. I think one of our friends recently said, "Oh, why is he bothering? You know, that age?" And I was like, "But he enjoys it. He educates himself. He's reading a lot. He goes onto podcasts. When I go over to him, he's telling me about the next little club that he's got into, some new sauerkraut that he's buying." And what are the fizzy the drinks that are like? Is it kombucha?
Kombucha. Yeah.
I don't have them regularly, but I've had them every now and then. Like I've got them from when I've been to health food shops and stuff.
Yeah.
But my mum currently has like damaged her hip, and she's like not drinking any alcohol because she has to be on painkillers because it's been really bad.
Oh, bless
and she's
her.
like, "Your dad's making me a kombucha in a glass of champagne." In a flute to try. And I just like, I love it.
Take the edge off.
A lot of
I love it. Yeah.
It's about feeling good though, isn't it? It's not just, oh, the 78. You want to feel good when you're 78.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be able to still do all the things you want to do. That's the point.
And he's always going on to me about gut health. You know what I mean? He's really into that kind of stuff. So I think obviously he's had the time in retirement to really educate himself. But he's all sending me little clips of different things, and in fact, I'll have to send him both yours.
Yeah, we need to get him as a master on the membership.
He sent me some discount code as well. Yeah, because there's a lot of, this is the thing, I think these days people are more concerned about their health, and I think after the pandemic people are as well.
Yeah.
I think you've got it's a great time that you're doing this membership, because people are a bit more switched on to wanting the support, wanting the help.
I think people are sort of going into two separate like parts of society. I think the pandemic has almost made people, or some people, sorry, lose trust in the current system. And so they want this alternative method, but they can't, they don't know where it is right now. And I think a lot of the current system doesn't work. And I think if you want to change a system, you need to make a new one and make the old one obsolete in some ways. And that's kind of what we want to do. We want to make this alternative system that actually works and brings the power back to the people rather than the big corporations, which is where it sits right now.
I was going to say that, because it's like taking it, instead of like, I think the old way that a lot of people thought was, oh, you just, you know, you go to the healthcare professional and they take care of you, but actually you should be taking ownership of your own.
Absolutely.
And like you say, the mother is, and it's not to disregard fathers,
No.
because there's a lot of good fathers who are focused on that as well, but generally it's more time that the mother is the leader of that kind of health for the family.
Absolutely.
And
she has the nurturing role generally, and she's at home making the meals a lot of the time. And the father tends to have a different role, but it could be either the main caregiver, essentially, whoever's going to be administering that's the children. Because health is something you build daily. It's not just about when they get ill for children. It's obviously something we want to cultivate and teach for you to do every single day, so that your children, when they do get sick, they're going to get over it much quicker, and they're going to be less susceptible to falling ill every other week. You know, that's a major part of it. Whereas obviously the mainstream medical model is not about the daily health. It's about live whoever you want, diet doesn't play a part, and when you get ill, come to us then, and we'll just put it away for another day. We're about bring the responsibility back to the individual, and let's cultivate health on a daily basis to make ourselves more resilient, especially in today's world that's very toxic, lots of chemicals and pollutants and all the rest of it. It's never been more important to have this information.
Brilliant.
I can't wait to be a member in it. What did we say the other day, Jade? I was writing something like, oh, this is pretty good. Like, can't wait to be a member of this. Oh yeah, well I'm doing it.
I'm passionate about it, honestly. I just think if you want to make these changes, it needs to start with the next generation, and like children need us to advocate for them. They can't do that themselves. They're so vulnerable. You just want to make that change, really, like for the future. And I think that's where it needs to start, with the children. So we just feel so passionate about this.
And both obviously mums, and it's something when you become a mum, it's something, just I don't know, something changes in you, isn't there? You can't sort of explain what it is.
Wow, you're responsible for this.
My gosh, and it's overwhelming at first, isn't it? It really. I remember my eldest now, he's coming up to 8 in April, and I remember sitting with him at the kitchen table, breastfeeding, watching something on the telly, and I was just like, this realization of, oh my god, I'm in charge of this. I mean, it is really overwhelming to start with, isn't it? And not to go on my journey, but I'm really lucky because Andrew, my husband, Andrew, Anna, and obviously Jade does, he's on the same page as me, and I'm so grateful for that. It's because I know, speaking to other mums and other friends who their partners aren't always on the same page, and they must have really, really difficult conversations. And coming back to your question earlier about what can you do if you're not having that support, and obviously as the Natural Mothers Toolkit, we're going to provide that network, which will only grow, but for just to give an example of when we had to call in some help before, when we had Jude, our youngest, James was 2 at the time, and he just wasn't sleeping. It was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. We had this newborn and 2-year-old that just wasn't sleeping. So obviously I'd not long given birth. Andrew was amazing, but you just don't know what you're doing, do you? So anyway, we just to put it bluntly, we hired a sleep consultant, and it was the best investment, one of the best investments we've ever made. And because I wasn't in an emotional place to be making decisions. Andrew was so exhausted because he was having to take over James, in through the night while I was, up through the night feeding Jude, etc. So we were I just remember lying in bed, well, not lazily lying in bed, just feeding or something in bed one morning, breaking my heart and just thinking, we need somebody here to help, because obviously my mum is good as gold, but I was breastfeeding Jude, so I couldn't get rid of one of them. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, cut a long story short, we hired a sleep consultant, and she's now the UK's leading sleep consultant in the UK. Yeah, I just said that, sorry. And she's an expert in the membership, and the tips that she gives, Jade, is absolutely insane, isn't it? Absolutely gold. Absolutely gold.
Amazing value.
I always remember years ago when I did work for Pfizer, actually, because we used to do these educational events, and a lot of them were really good.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that I always, when we arranged these events, was just we didn't want it to be this drug pushing event where we get a speaker that's talking about, we were talking about pain medication at the time. So a speaker that's talking about the pain medication is so cheesy, say, hey, this is the perfect medication type of thing. Got all of these GPs in the room, And I remember we got a sleep consultant who, because there was obviously a real direct link with pain and sleep. If you're in pain, you're not going to sleep, and vice versa. Get into that cycle. And in fact, my mum's going through it now with a hip. And I remember it was the best talk. It was a guy, actually, and he was, he was giving all these really, really good support to obviously these healthcare professionals who were helping, who weren't ever focusing on helping people sleep. You know what I mean? They were focused on writing the script, and loads of people at the end said, God, we've taken so much away from this that we can help our our patients and this, that, and the other. But I also remember he asked a question, he was like, has anybody not slept for the last 24 hours? And I just had my first child. I just come back from maternity leave. I think I had 3 hours sleep. And he was like, how many hours sleep we had? 3 to 5 or 6 to whatever. And I think it was the lowest scenario. And I went, anyway, you should not be at work. You need to go home, tell your boss. I think the boss was in the room. He goes, sleep is so important, we disregard it. And I think actually a lot of things are linked to sleep, aren't they? So you can imagine if your child's not having sleep, they're then going to be really groggy in the day and not functioning well. Sleep just helps the world kind of be chilled and
it's when we heal. We heal and we detox. Our brain detoxes at night. And there's a Chinese meridian chart, and between each hours at night, different organs detox. So if you're not asleep, you're not able to do your healing and your detoxing, and you're gonna feel worse in the day for sure.
Yeah. So that's great that you've got that in the membership. I want to join the membership.
No. It's honestly, it's amazing. Who else are we okay to go through a couple of the masters?
Yeah. Go for it.
So we've also got the founders of Supernova. I think Anna, you use Supernova, I think, or I might have mentioned them to you before. It's like a protein life powder, so it includes protein, but also with adaptogenic herbs and medicinal mushrooms as well. So real good health product. So anyway, they talk about their journey of how they founded their brand, for example, but also they've got 2 young children as well, and how they raise their family holistically. And it's Jermaine Beckford, so he used to be a professional football player as well. So we're trying to make this mainstream. You can raise your children holistically. You don't have to, as we've spoken about, go through to the systems. And here's some tips that they are doing daily, weekly with their families, that really easy things to implement with their families. Like they do affirmations with their children, and they've got a homeopathy kit which we advocate as well. And it's just having that real life family talk about their everyday experiences and how they use holistic health within their day-to-day lives. Because as once it becomes like Jade said earlier, it's not health. We can't just do health when we're not well. Health has to be it has to be a priority. Yeah. If you want to have an optimal, life with vitality, like your dad at 78, I think it's absolutely amazing. And who else have we got, Jade? We've got
Nancy. Nancy's going to be doing about essential oils, like how to use them. Cleaning products, for example, highly toxic in the household. using natural recipes with essential oils. She goes through those and other products that you could change in your home, but also how to use them as medicine. So diffusing them or putting them on your child's feet. There's that roll-on blend you could make, and all sorts of things like that. We've got a lady called Jane who does about setting boundaries, especially for women, because we try and do so many things and put a lot of and try and juggle so much that she's going to sort of give some tools to mums in order to set those healthy boundaries to manage mum's health. Who else have we got?
We've got a qualified homeopath coming in to do a masterclass on how to use homeopathy as like a first aid. So for example, if like your child has got a fever, for example, and like we teach not to fear a fever, obviously monitor it and support and make your child comfortable, of course, but she will talk to you about what homeopathic remedies you can use for certain ailments, like a fever or a chesty cough or tummy upset, etc. So she's going to be doing a masterclass all about homeopathy in the household, which is I can't wait, absolutely can't wait for that.
That sounds good. I mean, what you're creating is, like you say, the children of these parents or mothers, I know you mainly focus on mums, are going to have the best start in their health, aren't they, long term?
Absolutely.
But recently I interviewed a girl whose father had died from cancer, but he'd managed to extend his life, I think it was like 10 or 12 years.
Wow.
By doing a lot of this kind of stuff that he's talking about. Now, and she actually found a book after he passed away, and he did this in the 70s, 80s, which was a lot harder than it is now, because now all of this is available to us. Back then it was a lot more difficult.
Of course.
And in fact, I think you should go and watch the podcast. You'd really like it.
Yeah, will do.
But a lot of what you were saying then, like you were saying, some people get involved in this kind of stuff when there's a wake-up call, like you have a health issue, or you something that sets that light bulb. Maybe you think, right, I want to really focus on this. But actually, if you are doing it as an everyday thing, you're going to prevent all of these nasty health problems in the future, aren't you? And things like some of the more serious things like different cancers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, prevention is better than cure. It can be very difficult. Cathy and I work with people who have chronic health issues, and it takes a long time, to get full health back to the body. But if you can do things that are going to be preventative and setting your child up with good health, for the rest of their life, there is no greater gift in my mind, that you can give to your child.
So who would you think, obviously, would you say this is really for all mums, not just for new mums, or are you mainly focused on new mums? Like, for people listening to this, like me, I've got a 15 and 12-year-old, would you say that this community is for me? Or would you say it's really for people who've got, newborn babies?
All mums, and even those that are pregnant as well. So we've had messages from people saying, I'm pregnant, could I join? And actually some aren't even pregnant, but they might be planning it in the next couple of years. They want to join because it's about their education. They want to make sure they go into this armed with the tools and the knowledge and the support, because even going through, we want to have I think we have someone coming in about home births. Actually, we've got a doula speaking on home births. So it's going to be, I'm pregnancy prep. So all the way through from deciding you're going to go on that fertility journey, all the way through to pretty much your children being any age. This is going to benefit, all mums and all mums to be.
We're also, Anna, so this might be appeal to you, Anna, and your boys' age bracket. We're also going to have, how to support your child in the teenage years, because when they go through puberty, even though it's a life, it's a life transition, we all go through it or have gone through it. There's such a draw on essential fatty acids and nutrients, for example. So if when they go through this puberty change, if their foundations of the nutrients perhaps were a little bit depleted anyway, they're going to have trouble going through this transition. So we'll be having a section on how to support your teenagers' nutrients, for example. But all of these masterclasses and this information that we're going to be providing, I think deep down it's the community and this village and the support that is going to be the icing on the cake, because you can just drop a message into the Facebook community, the virtual village, being like, oh, I've got this, my son's 30, he's got this issue, bloody hell, what can I do? And whether it's me and Jade or another member of the community that will offer some words of advice and some help. And I think that is what we need. Well,
look at when
mums are going to change the world.
Yeah.
when I did your detox, the amount of questions are coming out from people.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think when you do start this like health journey, you're going to have loads of questions. And like you say, the community, I know that from some of the communities that I'm part of or created.
Yeah.
Actually, the members start answering it for you, and you get to know them. Well, obviously you'll answer them as well. You'll get to know the members of the community that have got the right info as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, like say, for example, because your boys are a little bit older now, my children are older than Jade's little girl. We've all got that experience to pass down as well. So, somebody with a 3-year-old might have a question that, you'd be able to answer, like, oh, this happened to my boy, this is how I managed it, or this is what I found useful. And we're passing on the knowledge, like a village used to do, isn't it? But obviously we can't be in everybody's part of the world, but we can bring it virtually to you. So that's what we're doing.
Brilliant, great stuff. Love it. So for those people listening, I'm sure you're just as excited. Go and check out Cathy and Jade's Instagram. Go follow them. Have a look in the comments section for the detox guide, and also the masterclass that they're both running on the 12th of March. Get that in your calendar. So you can hear more about this new membership that kicks off on the 13th. So excited for you both. Keep in touch with me and let me know what's going on. You might need a journal. You might need to create a journal in there.
Yes, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I always ask everybody what freedom means to them. So I'm going to ask Jade, because Cathy's answered this previously, although it's probably changed, Cathy, in the last 6 months. But Jade, what does freedom mean to you?
To me, it means being able to do what I want, when I want, live how I want to live. I had a 9 to 5 job, and I used to really hate the idea that I had to be somewhere at a certain time doing tasks that I didn't really want to do because I needed the money, basically. But I've now managed to create a life where I work when I want to work, doing something that I absolutely love, and can prioritize being with my family. I spend more time with my daughter than I do doing my work, but when I'm working, I absolutely love it. It's like really rewarding. So yeah, to me, being able to live life on my terms is that freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I 100% back you up on that. I basically started my online journey when my two, I think Jacob was, Ruben was 10 months, so Jacob would have been like 2.5. Right. So I was thinking about it when Jacob first, when I first had Jacob, and then the industry was getting me annoyed. But I was like, I don't want to leave until I get made redundant, so I can have some money to be able to do this online journey. But it's been enabled me, like I remember a few years ago going, Anna, you already achieved the goal that you wanted to achieve. But I hadn't stopped and congratulated myself, because you do this where you meet people like you do, you got like projects going on, you have new ideas, have the podcast, so you've always got another goal, another layer. But being like you just said, being able to just choose the time that you want to, it's like this week being half term for me. I think some people had it last week, some people got it this week. I decided yesterday that I'm going to take, there's certain days I'm taking this week, Friday being one of them. My teenagers don't really want to hang out with me anymore. They just want Uber mum to drop them off in different places. But we're going to go to Warwick races on Friday. But you're able to decide, and flex it on when you, and sometimes even if I'm on holiday, as it were, I usually take my laptop, or I might log into something because I'm passionate about what I'm doing.
You love what you do.
It's not work, is it, really? It's not really, really class it fully as work, because it's something that you're passionate about, and it like that creativity and like just sets your soul alight. It's I mean, I'll do it for free. It's just an added bonus that I get paid as well. So loving life. Love being live.
Well, it's been great to get to know you, Jade. Thanks both.
You too. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks both for coming on the show. Just everybody listening, make sure you look at the links. I know we've mentioned them a few times. And do reach out to any one of us if we can help you in any way. Good luck and all the best with everything you're doing. And come back in 6 months' time and let us know what you're up to.
Amazing.
So thanks ever so much, both of you.
Oh, thanks so much for having us, Anna. We've loved it. Thank you.
Cheers.
Hey, thank you for listening. Hope you had a blast, here to elevate your life. It's the Freedom Podcast. Love, money, mine. Love, money, mine. Wanna see you all win, wanna see you all shine. Just make sure that you subscribe, bringing good vibes. Join the Facebook group, now it's time to change your life. Hope you come back, right now is the chance. This is an experience, it's the Freedom Podcast. Hey! Hey, thank you for listening. Hope you had a blast. Here to elevate your life. It's the Freedom Podcast. Love, money, mine. Love, money, mine. Wanna see you all win. Wanna see you all shine. Just make sure that you subscribe. Bringing good vibes. Join the Facebook group. Now it's time to change your life. Hope you come back. Right now is the chance. This is an experience. It's the Freedom Podcast. Hey.